Welcome back to Nick Lenz's movie reviews. For the first time in 4 months, a brand new episode. This is episode 51. Yeah, and why not do one? It's been a while, so let's break the ice with something magical to break that ice. And what movie? Justice League Dark, the anime movie released just recently. Even though I purchased this, I have seen this movie, so I have a pretty good idea of what this movie is about. Yes. Now, pretty much the story of this movie is that there's monsters around. People are seeing monsters all over the place. It turns out some spell, and the Justice League is called in to try to stop all this madness. Oh, and the Justice League has actually increased its membership. They added Jon Stewart, Martian Manhunter, Hawkman. I think that's it. Also, Cyborg is back in the team for no explained reason. Excuse me. I'll get to my problems with it later. Now, there were some people who had a problem with seeing Batman on front and center on the cover. I think that's an okay idea. I don't personally have a problem with Batman being in this movie because he was in the first arc of Justice League Dark comic book. Yes, a comic book that lasted for 40 issues, and I reviewed the last 2 trades of it on my Comic Corner Classics/Non-Classics. Now, the team is never called Justice League Dark in the movie. That's one of the minor problems of this movie. The lineup for this team is interesting, to say the least. We have John Constantine, Santana, and Deadman, 3 people who were in fact members of Justice League Dark in the comics, along with Jason Blood, Etrigan Demon, Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing himself was definitely part of the comic briefly. Etrigan, as far as I know, never joined Justice League Dark at all. Also, I need to point this out. Felix Faust is in here, and he's actually one of the villains. Which I'm like, okay, Felix Faust. And they do reference the fact he actually fought the Justice League first, which, okay, that's interesting. Matt Ryan voices John Constantine himself. Jason O'Mara basically still voices Batman. That has not changed. Yeah, Jason O'Mara has done every single one of these movies that feature Batman. The only one of these direct-to-DVD movies that does not feature him as Batman is The Killing Joke, because that's a standalone movie and not part of the universe of movies. I will get to my slight problems with this movie in a little bit, but the action of this movie is fantastic. The story moves along really well. The villain is actually interesting. He's actually based upon Dr. Destiny, an actual Justice League villain, who is simply called Destiny, and the guy in the movie has a connection to Jason Blood, also known as Etrigan Demon, and of course Etrigan Demon. Yeah, apparently he is actually from Camelot time, and how they even show how in the film that they show a version of it where of how Jason Blood and Etrigan Demon merged. And apparently Etrigan's former partner was Merlin, the magician. Okay. And he was bonded. Apparently, Jason Blood had a shoulder wound that basically was killing him, so the only way to save him was to merge him with Etrigan. Okay, that's actually quite interesting. I should point out also that one thing I do praise this movie for is that Jason Blood still has the white streak in his hair, which apparently he had when he was a Knight of Camelot, which I'm thinking, okay, I don't really know why. Oh, also, John Constantine is completely in character. Matt Ryan, it's like Matt Ryan is playing the version from the Constantine TV show. That's what it seems like, yeah. Even though, yeah, it is Matt Ryan playing pretty much the same character, reprising his role as John Constantine. It seems like he's playing it the same way he played him on the Constantine TV show. A TV show, in my honest opinion, that should not be canceled, but thank you, CW, for bringing back an animated series, which I'm looking forward to that. They do reference, I think this is supposed to be Swamp Thing's origin story. I'm not really sure exactly if this is the actual origin story from the comics, but I like the fact they reference his backstory of how he became Swamp, well, of how Dr. Alec Holland died. Now, some of you wondering, who created the other characters? I mean, Batman, obviously. Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Who created these other characters? Well, Swamp Thing himself was created by Leen Wein, and trying to think, who was the other guy? I actually remember he was the artist of the cult. Excuse me. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Bernie Wrightstein. Yeah, he's the one who created Swamp Thing. Etrigan Demon / Jason Blood. Jack the King Kirby. John Constantine. Alan Moore. Dead Man, his cover was designed by... his first cover appearance was actually done by Neil Adams. I don't remember who created him. Santana, she was created by Gardner Fox, the same person who created the Justice League. And they also have Black Orchid here as well. She is technically part of this roster. But here's the thing. This version is completely different from the versions they show in the comic books. Apparently, she's the conscience for the House of Mystery, which John Constantine owns, just like he does in Justice League Dark comic book. And he's the leader of the team. In the comic book, he was not the original leader of the team. He was Madame Xanadu, who, as far as I can tell, does not appear in this movie. They do bring in a character from the Hellblazer comic book, the character Richie, which, from what research I've done, it's the same actor who portrayed him in the Constantine TV show. Yeah, it's the same guy. He basically, like Matt Ryan, he's reprising a character he played on the show, though it's a slightly different version. Now, the character Richie is from the Hellblazer comic book, and he is a creation of James Dino, I think his name is. He was the original writer for the Hellblazer comic book, which I have read those issues. Yeah. So pretty much every single character who appears in this movie is from the comic books. Heck, the trio demons who work with Felix Faust in this movie are from the comics as well, and they made their debut appearance in the same issue that Felix Faust made his debut in, which was Justice League America number 10 from the 60s. Which, okay, and like Zatanna, they're a creation of Gardner Fox. Awesome writer, created a lot of good characters. Batman is just there for somebody who's a non-magical perspective, which bringing him in was not a bad idea. I mean, I get maybe the reason why DC threw him in here as part of this roster. Money. Just like how Wolverine was the one, basically, how he was the one who could survive, who basically had him go back in time. Kind of the same thing with this one. Money, but in story, there's a reasoning for him to be working with the Justice League Dark. Because he's not a magic user, and his gadgets do actually help. Which I'm thinking, that's not a bad idea to do. I should point out also that even though Hawkman and Martian Manhunter are part of the Justice League in this movie, they do jack squat. All you see of them is a quick cameo in one scene. Oh, I should also point out that the Justice League are based upon of the Hall of Justice, just like how they were in Justice League vs. Teen Titans. Yeah, they're based on the Hall of Justice still, which I'm thinking, why are they based upon there for? It just seems a little odd. In the comic books, the Justice League were never based upon of the Hall of Justice. The only team in the only Justice League team out in the comics that are based upon the Hall of Justice that was not the Super Friends was the JLI from New 52. Oh yeah, and by the way, Hall of Justice was also featured in the Young Justice cartoon, where it was a museum, and it was a front for the actual base operations, which was the satellite, which was in space. The space station, which is in space. This film does not mention Watchtower, which I'm thinking, I don't get why. Now, overall for this universe, this is actually the 4th Justice League film part of this universe. If there's going to be a sequel to this, I would love to see it. Maybe they can adapt more storylines from this actual comic book into this universe. I don't see why not. I would say this particular movie is loosely based upon the very first arc of the series. Now, the series itself, and they do... now, one of the writers on here, one of the story here, is J.M. DeMatteis. He himself was actually one of the writers of the Justice League Dark comic book. Yeah, I believe he was the last writer of the comic book before the comic ended. So having him write the script for this movie was a terrific idea. And plus, also, J.M. DeMatteis just happens to be one of the co-writers of Scooby Apocalypse. And plus, also, he did Justice League International. It doesn't say who it's based upon, but the series was started by Peter Mulligan. This DVD does not show exactly um, like who created the Justice League Dark. I don't know why, but just it is. Also, I gotta point this out. This is the New 52 costume for Zatanna, and when you first see the movie, she is wearing the classic costumes that she wore back in her debut appearance back in Hawk #4, back in the 60s. Gardner Fox did the issue. He wrote the issue. This is actually her New 52 costume. Now, it is referenced in the New 52 that she still does wear her classic costume, but she only wears it on stage. This is more of her battle costume. Yeah. Constantine, they never changed him at all in New 52. Same thing with Deadman. No change. There's a few things I don't like with this movie. One really big thing. This really ticked me off when I saw this movie. They killed off Swamp Thing. Yeah, Swamp Thing dies, so he could come back. But killing off Swamp Thing was a terrible idea in this movie. Yeah, 2 characters die. Yeah, 2 characters actually physically die in this movie. Actually, 3 if you include Richie. But yeah, 2 of the Justice League Dark members actually die in the movie, which I'm thinking, why? Why kill off these 2? Why kill off Swamp Thing and Jason Blood? It just really makes no sense. Another thing is that Cyborg is in the movie for a cameo. That's really it. Let me think here. I think that Jon Stewart, who does have some lines in the movie, I believe he's played by the same guy who, let's see here. I think he's played with the same guy who plays one of the members. Excuse me. Let's see here. Let's see. Here we go. Roger Cross, the same guy who plays Swamp Thing, also plays Jon Stewart. He also plays Jon Stewart, which is not a bad idea per se. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Who created Boston Brand? He was created by Arnold Drake and Karma Infantino. Great 2 people. But yes, this movie is fantastic. Few minor problems here and there. I should point out this is the second DCU direct-DVD movie that is rated R, but the first Justice League movie rated R. Now, it's rated R for some disturbing violence, and there is violence in this movie, so it is justified for its R rating. Unlike in the case of Killing Joke, which never took advantage of it, this one did. This one definitely took advantage of the R rating. Yeah, this movie is really violent. So, I'd only recommend this to people who are around my age to watch this movie. You can watch the other movies are all PG-13, but this one is R. Yeah. But what? Okay. Let's see. Who was the other person? It was Peter Mulligan and Mikkel Jan. Yeah. These 2 are the ones who actually started the original Justice League Dark comic book. Then there was handed out to people like Jeff Lemire. There was an issue done by Ray Fox. But the last 20 issues were done by Jan DeMatteis, who did the remainder of the series. Yeah. And one thing I also noticed, though, by Jan DeMatteis, for some reason they have him writing the films. Which, this is actually not his first film he's actually done. Where he's wrote the script for, which I'm thinking, why the heck would Jan DeMatteis write a script for movies? It's really bizarre for him to make these. Let's see, what other movies did he do? He also did Bad Blood, Batman vs. Robin. I think that's it. Yeah. He just did the last couple Batman movies and this one. I believe he also did Gods and Monsters. Let me check that just to be sure. Yeah, I believe I know he did the one shot. I don't remember if he did the film itself. Let's see. It might have been Bruce Timm. Let's see. It's Alan Bennett. My mistake. But Jan DeMatteis did do the comic books. Yes, he did do the Gods and Monsters comic book, which Okay, having a comic book writer, now he's probably one of 2 known comic book writers who works for DC who actually also writes their movies. Jeff Johns does the same thing. Though Jeff Johns is more into writing stuff for movies and TV shows than he is writing comic books. Though the only thing I think he might be still writing right now is maybe the next volume of Batman Earth-1, which I'm looking forward to whenever they announce when Volume 3 comes out. What rating do I give this movie? I give it a 9 out of 10. It's great. Despite its minor problems, it's a great story. The villain is interesting. Animation is fantastic. No swearing. Unlike the first Justice League movies in this universe that had a lot of swearing. Which I'm kind of glad as movies went forward, they toned down the swearing. Which I think I know the reason why they toned it down. Because they got a bunch of complaints about Justice League War. Where the biggest complaint of the film was not the violence. Or how the characters were completely different, how people to think of them. It was the foul language. That was the biggest problem with the movie. It's like they toned it down. This one, there's barely a curse word in this one at all. Everything people say in here is how natural people are, what they would talk. And having Batman fight supernatural threats in these movies is a really interesting idea. I would say this is the second time he's done in this universe because he also helped fight Trigon. Though it was Damian and Raven who were the ones who actually defeated him, not Batman. Batman barely laid a scratch on him. In the case of this movie, he actually helped, and he did a much better job. Unlike in Throne of Atlantis, where he did 0 fighting, this one he did a bunch of fighting, and he actually contributed to the actual plot and actually had a reasoning. Heck, the Batmobile gets destroyed in this movie, though I'm sure you probably give it another one, but yeah. Awesome movie, 9 out of 10. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned whenever I get a chance to do episode 52. I'll decide when I do that one. Until then. Excuse me. But until then, I will see you there. Bye.